what an exciting afternoon. 2 o'clock on Saturday is not usually our peak time, so we're really thrilled that you're all here. I'm Martha Frankel, whatever. I started the Book Fest 15 years ago with Gail Straub. We're sort of, Gail and I are sort of like Mutt and Jeff. She's a very spiritual person. I am not.
Not true. Not
And
true.
so-
She's the spiritual one and I'm the mutt.
Well, okay. Anyway, Gail's a terrific writer, great raconteur. She was terrific at the Story Slam the other night, her first one. People came up to me afterwards and said, you just seem like you'd been doing it forever. So that's always wonderful. And she's written extensively about our area, and her book, The Ashokan Way, is just, if you've ever been near the reservoir, you need to own this book. And I know she's going to introduce Abby and Bev, but I'm going to say this. Abby also started the festival with us 15 years ago. We were like, let's put on a play. Let's put it on in Woodstock. Anyway, and here we are, 15 years later. It's just a miracle. Miracle. And I met Bev Donofrio and said to her, I didn't know who she was, and I was like, yeah, I heard Bev Donofrio lives in this town. And with that, and she was like, me too. Friends. So this town is so crazy. But before we start, I want to thank WHAM, the Woodstock Artists Association. They umbrellaed the Book Fest this year, allowed me to raise money that was tax deductible to people. And it turns out there's a lot of people in Woodstock who want to give away tax deductible money. So I'm here, I'm right here. Anyway, I never knew that before. So anyway, Gail, you're gonna introduce them, right?
Yes,
Janus Adams is coming too, and when she gets here, we'll scoot her up to the stage and she'll sit here.
Yes, Janus is driving in from quite a ways, and we've spoken many times. She's going to slide in and come and join us. Somehow that's meant to be today. But actually, I thought I wasn't going to give a long introduction to Abby and Bev, but just a personal one, because you can visit their websites. And here's what I love about Abby Thomas. Well, she's inspired me for many, many years, as many of us in this town, and I kind of consider myself very honored to be sitting at this table with you. And she's an amazing writer. Probably many of you have read her books, and she's considered a master memoirist, as is Bev. So Bev and I are buddies, and we like to walk the Ashokan Rail Trail, and she brings her amazing creature dog called Lovey, and we talk about everything. We sort of solve the entire world, right, Bev? Anyway, I adore these two women. That's what I really want you to know. And I also adore Janus, though it's strange to talk about her when she's not here. So maybe I'm gonna wait till she arrives and then tell you a lot of wonderful things about Janus. So, oh, thank you for coming. I agree with Martha. Maybe we got you because it's raining. But a lot of my buddies told me I can't come, Gail, because I'm demonstrating. Yes. But I said to Martha, it seems like we have the best of both worlds, because lots of people are demonstrating and lots of people are here. So thank you so much for coming. And we're going to talk about some important things today that I imagine all of you are thinking about. And one of them is that all of us on this panel happen to be elders. So we're going to speak about how growing old impacts our craft as writers. That's something, I know there are many writers in the room. But the more universal things are, how does any artist, poet, writer, musician, dancer, etc., shed light in these complex times. What is the role of art? That's something a lot of us in Woodstock are thinking about. And then, oh, I think that Janus might be here. No, I guess not. And then each of them will read. We've left a very big chunk for your questions because in Woodstock, that's always the most interesting part of the panel because you're all so fabulous. And then later in the final part of the panel, we'll discuss how the imagination keeps hope alive. This is a big conundrum for all of us. How do we navigate these complicated times and stay hopeful? So it's a rather audacious agenda, but I think we can manage. So, Abby, I'm going to ask you to begin, and maybe you could speak to this thing I just said, that we're growing older, and how does that influence you as a writer? And then how do you, either through your writing or just who you are, how do you keep shining the light in complicated times?
Well, I don't mean to. I love being old. I absolutely love it. It's so much easier than being young.
Mike needs to be close.
Is it on? Yes,
Mike,
it's
right
on.
up to
I love being old. I write mostly tiny little pieces. Memoir, I don't do fiction anymore. And one of the benefits of being old is my memory is really bad. But what I do remember, I remember pretty clearly moments. And so I distill down to whatever the moment was with, you don't have to add furniture or jewelry or anything, you just do that. And these days, something will catch my eye that is completely trivial. I'll tell you about trivial. Trivia comes from a word from 1589, meaning a place where three roads converge, where you don't have much time to say more than love the hat, nice day. And from that trivial, grew up. I mean, it's just wonderful. Anyway, something will catch my eye, and the less sense it makes that this should be interesting me at the moment, the more interested I become. And so I start with that and then figure out what it is that got me going. Well, I did, but there are other things too. I found a flying dragon, because there are such things in the Philippines. They're lizards, and they don't have wings, but they have membranes that spread out like this, and long tails, and very skinny arms with teeny little fingernails, and they just look prehistoric. And I was so happy that I'm on this planet when they're on this planet, because it just made a great big underline underneath, we are not all there is. It isn't about us. I mean, we're fucking it up, but it isn't all about human beings and their relationships. So, what am I talking about?
Oh, that was so, you answered everything so beautifully. No, seriously, this idea that, well, this is an icon of the imagination transcending ideology and despair and opening wider doors. Abby, thank you.
If I didn't write, I would be in despair. Writing keeps me, we all need one thing we do that's just for us. And you can be cooking or gardening or writing or painting or making things out of clay. But that's where we go when that's just us and our whatever is going on in the back of the mind and letting it come to the front. Thank you.
Thank you, Abby. Thank you. What about you, Bev, on this aging business and how you stay hopeful in these complicated times?
Well, I too love being old. It's the best time of my life. And I don't know what I think unless I write. So I'm not writing right now, so sorry. Give it a go. I write about my life. I've always written about my life. And there are memories that don't go away. And they keep coming and they keep coming. And if I take one of those memories that comes and I go back to that time and try to relive that time, now I have enough experience to not be so black and white about what happened and how things went down. And so I'm able to shed light that wasn't there before. And in doing that, hopefully I model how one can do that in life. So I was thinking, well, is there a story to tell? And I thought of this memory that I have written about, and only recently was I able to make sense of why. I mean, I knew why it was kept coming, but could I make it bigger than me? Here comes Janus.
Oh, how wonderful. Janus, is it you? No, it's not Janus. Oh, you're very welcome in this room. Janus, are you here? Are you anywhere? No, I'm kidding. No, please.
Okay, that means I have to keep going. So this memory was a horrible memory. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Close to your mouth.
Okay. I was a working class single mother on welfare who miraculously got a scholarship to Wesleyan University, which is a pretty elite place. And I'm off one Saturday with my best friend. Our kids are off wherever, and we're thrilled to be in this bar. And we're drinking, and this rugby team comes in, and they start singing their stupid ditties, and we don't leave. And one of them comes up to me and says, would you do me the honor of being our rugby queen? And I think, whoa, sure. I mean, like, I should have known better, given the songs that they were singing. And they held me up on a chair. I stand on the chair, and they do this. Have you seen her frizzy hair? Yes, we see her frizzy hair. Alouette, alouette. And he goes all the way down my body. Oh. Ending with, have you seen her furry thing? Yes, we see her furry thing. And I'm standing there just appalled. And I think, furry thing? Fuck you. Then they're all cheering, alouette, 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 and they give me a thing of beer that I'm supposed to pour on his head. And I thought, furry thing. And I said, have you seen his tiny dick? Pour the beer on his head, and they say, oh, you're the best rugby queen we ever had. Nobody ever spoke back before. And I'm like just so full of myself. I'm this working class Italian big mouth hero. And I used to go to dinner parties and tell this story because I was proud of myself. But then I thought, wait a minute, that was really horrible that you went through that. So what you get to do when you look back at stuff is access feelings that were too deep and too
Yes.
painful to recognize in the moment.
Wow.
And you get to go back and unearth that pain and have a reflection about it. And I'll save that reflection for my next book, which you will all buy when I write.
Thank you, Bev. What an amazing story. So, along with this loving being older, me too. So that's 3 of us, and I imagine Janus might say the same when she gets here. How do you keep the hope going? How do you, or don't?
I have to. It's survival. I mean, the other side of hope is despair. And I do not want to go there. I've been there before in my life, and I'm not going back. And it feels like this is it's not even hard for me. I just feel gratefulness. I'm not that upset. I really think that you have to break down before you break through. Life is a lesson, and this is a hard lesson, but we're going to learn from it, and we're going to change from it. And that's what I think.
Thank you, Bev. Yeah. I
Not to be
concur with
Pollyanna
that.
or anything, but
Yeah.
that's really what I think.
Yeah, no, that's how I feel. We're gonna learn from this, and
Who's the we?
because we already please,
Oh,
yeah, go ahead.
no, I don't, no, I just,
Please.
I don't have much hope. I think we are at the end, and I think the planet is doomed, but I'm still alive, and there are things that interest me, and I have my children and my grandchildren and my friends, and that's what I focus on.
Yeah.
And writing.
I'm writing.
Without writing, I would be dead. And the weird thing about writing is that when you're writing memoir and you have to go and write the stuff you really don't even want to know about yourself, let alone tell anybody else. But when you do that, when you make yourself vulnerable, you get much stronger. And I don't know why that is, but it's very interesting how that works. So if you write, do the stuff you don't want to write about. You don't have to show anybody, but you'll gain clarity, and clarity is comfort. And just as you said.
You go to the pain, it's where the light enters.
Yeah.
Pain and grace enters through a womb.
Grace is a lovely thing.
And I too think the planet's going to end, but I can still have a damn good time. I mean,
Yep. And be useful in some way,
Yeah. Well, thank you both. Let's send some good vibes to Janus Adams, wherever she is. She was on Route 28A. Right, that's where I live. Oh, that's very far from here. Anyway, let's send her some good vibes. I wanted, since she isn't here, I'll pipe in a little bit. I usually don't do this as the moderator, but since we have time, I did a story slam on Thursday night, and there's a learning in the story I told that's relevant to this question that we're discussing right now. I talked about how when I visited the Syrian refugee camps in Jordan, I can't tell the whole story, I don't have time, but I'll condense one part that's relevant to what Bev and Abby have just said. And there was a woman who said, one thing that happens in the camps is that the difficulty, it's very close to what you both just said, the difficulty forces us to grow in new ways. The difficulty, the unspeakable suffering forces us, compels us to make room for things to be ways that we could never be before. And I think that's a little bit what both of you are alluding to, yeah. So we could see the times we're living in as compelling us, asking of us to grow and grow in new ways, perhaps, yeah. So Abby, would you read to us?
Sure.
I've asked everyone to read because they're writers.
Okay. Oh, well, okay. These dogs I love.
Can you hear?
No.
Okay. These dogs I love.
Oh, hold on, I have an idea to make it easier for you. Yeah, perfect. Oh, yeah, that's good.
Hold it.
I'll hold it for you.
Oh my God, thank you.
Can you hear her now?
Can you hear me now? Oh, I can hear me now. Oh God. The dogs and I wake when the sun comes up. We're all excited today. The dogs tumble all over themselves to be first down the porch steps and into the yard. Tails high, noses to the ground, following trails I can't possibly see. The dogs veer left, right, straight ahead, circle back around, occasionally stopping short to pay close attention to something I'd rather not know about. I probably will. Lifting their heads to bark or howl. And they're displaying the same kind of excited behavior I am myself today. I've been writing something I don't understand yet, and what I'm following, or being led by, might have laid down its tracks 50 years ago or yesterday. If you could map my mind, it would resemble the zigzagging dog prints in an inch of snow. How I spent my allowance in New Orleans, the waterfall in Sneedon's, the boy in New Hampshire. It might be anything, but my whole life has brought me here. That's what's so interesting about writing. I veer left, then right, then straight ahead, stopping occasionally to examine something more closely. The only difference is that I do not enroll in it. There's no telling where I'll wind up, or even if it will amount to anything, but right now that doesn't matter. Something very interesting might show up at any moment, as long as I keep at it, as long as I don't boss it around, as long as my luck holds. It's all about discovery. It's all about possibilities. Possibility is a physical sensation, and there's nothing like it. I remember the first time I felt its thrill, listening to my father describe something that was going well in his lab. And although I had no idea what he was talking about, and it hadn't happened yet, he fairly trembled with excitement. And his voice contained a tremor I think of now as the awareness of possibility. Oh, I must have thought without thinking, that's the way I want to live. On the brink, right around the corner, any minute now. It's like being a dog. The minute they wake up, when they jump off the bed or slide off the couch, their tails are already wagging. They're expecting the next good thing, on the brink, right around the corner, any minute now.
Such, that passage, that says it all. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, the schedule's a little thrown into Kaflooey land because Janus isn't here. So I'm just sort of making this up as I go along, as you probably figured out already. But let's take some questions from you guys. We have more things we're going to discuss. I promise you Bev will also read a little bit later. But how about some questions from you all? Okay, now here's the ticket with the questions. We want to repeat them so everyone can hear them, including me. Yeah, thank you, Martha.
Tell me the question.
Gail's afraid she won't hear you, but I will.
If you speak loud, some of us will hear you well, but if you speak very softly, it's a little more tricky.
Okay.
So I saw your hand. Yes, please. Can you stand up?
Hi. I was wondering if you could tell us who your favorite memoirists are?
Wonderful question. Did everyone hear? Yeah, I will repeat it. Thank you, Martha. She said, I was wondering if you could tell us, Abby and Bev, who your favorite memoirists are.
And you.
Okay, I'll go too. It's like I'm the third panel member.
Mine is Abby Thomas.
When I first went to Woodstock, I was on a panel and they asked me that, and I said, Abby Thomas, and she waved to me from the audience. Now here I am. Seriously, read every one of her books, they're amazing.
Oh, thank you. This is when I forget everything. This is, I mean, any question I'm asked, my mind goes completely blank, but I can remember loving Autobiography of a Face by Lucy Greeley.
Oh, wow.
Because she was, when you write memoir, there's a certain ruthlessness that you have to use. Not in vengeance, but just to tell the truth, and she does that beautifully. It's a fantastic book. I also love My Family and Other Animals by Gerald Durrell. They're all coming back to me.
Keep going, keep going.
But see,
the microphone. Yeah.
oh,
You know what? Move the microphone back towards Abby. Don't make Abby move the mic back.
I can move.
That's good.
That's good.
Oh. Which has something to say. Robert Graves, what was it? Goodbye to All That, which I think a couple of his books were great, but I think that was about World War II. Maybe it was World War I. I have millions of them and my mind has gone blank. That's the only, no, it's not the only, but it's one of the problems with being 83. Suddenly your mind goes blank. Autobiography of a Face by Lucy Greeley is a great book. And My Family and Other Animals is a great book. And Gerald Durrell wrote a book called, what's it called? It's his brother. Lawrence Durrell wrote a book about the same time on Corfu that
Durrell's of Corfu or something like that?
no, it's called, no, it's got a more intellectual title, which is irritating. But I remember there came a time in my life a couple of years ago when I just simply couldn't read. I couldn't focus, I couldn't read. So I thought, okay, I'll try, it was called Prospero's Cell. And there was a sentence in it I remembered for 50 years, which is, the taste of olives is as old as the taste of cold water, which was just so ravishing. So I thought, okay, I'll try Prospero's Cell. And I read the first sentence, which is, somewhere before Calabria and Corfu, the blue really begins. And it was so beautiful, I just closed the book. I didn't want anything to follow that. I just wanted to live with that. So now I collect first sentences. I'm not good at beautiful sentences. And if I come across a really beautiful sentence, or worse, a beautiful idea, I stop short and lose the thread. So for me, it's all about the rhythm of the words. Oh God. No, I can't. I wish I had written them all down before there's wonderful memoirs out there.
Yeah, I like Frank Conroy's Stop Time, if you haven't read that.
That's a great book.
That's a great one.
That's a great book.
Yeah. And speaking of beautiful lines, I knew I wouldn't be able to remember this, so I printed it out, and it's from James Baldwin. I imagine one of the reasons people cling to their hate so stubbornly is because they sense once the hate is gone, they will be forced to deal with the pain.
Wow.
That speaks to today, I think.
Yeah. Thank you. Other questions, please?
Oh,
Yes.
how about your memoir, your favorite?
I feel also like Abby, though I don't have an excuse because I'm 10 years younger, but as my husband can attest, I read voraciously, and I read a lot of memoirs, but they all escape my mind. There's one, I know the author, William Ackerman, and he wrote a memoir. It has Times, Places, and War in the title, but that's not the correct title. It was his experience he's a war journalist. If somebody Googles it, maybe they can find the proper title. Places, Times, and the War, something like that. And he describes he covered the Iraq War, and after that, he went back and he met with a man who was bombed when he was there as a journalist. It's a very amazing memoir about how war changes us, but also makes us more human. I'm so sorry I'm not remembering the title well.
It's called Places and Names on War, Revolution, and Returning.
Thank you. Could you say it louder? Thank you, Nan.
Places and Names on War, Revolution, and Returning.
Places and names on war, revolution, and returning, right? Yeah, it's an amazing.
And I just want to add one more. Although hers, The Liars Club, is amazing, but Joanne Beard's The Boys.
Oh,
My youth.
incredible.
The Boys of My Youth. Joanne Beard. Okay,
That's,
next question.
next question, yes. We could go down a rabbit hole on this. Yes, hi.
Abby, you have a small fan club here from Substack.
A huge fan club.
She said Abby has a large fan club on Substack, yeah?
Well, no, here.
Oh, here, yay.
So my question is, Abby, tell us about writing on Substack and why you're doing that and anything about Substack.
Okay, I'm going to repeat it for others who might not have heard it. So Abby has this fan club here who follow her on Substack. And the question is, what's that like?
It's
Anything you
really
want to
great.
say? Yeah.
And Nan got me on because I could never have figured it out. It's full of really good writers and really good readers. And you put something up and you get thoughtful and helpful and encouraging comments. I absolutely love it. It's instant gratification. And I love the other people. I mean, I've made friends whom I would not recognize if they, walked right up. But really good writers, and it's very, very interesting. And anybody who feels like writing, it would be an interesting place for you to go and put your stuff up or visit or just read. It's a great place. I don't have any more to say about it, except I love it. It's so much better than Facebook, which we can't be on anymore, because of whatever his name is. It's a lovely place to put your things up and read other people's things and make friends with them, begin to recognize their names and their writing, and I love it. Is that you, Georgetta?
What a wonderful, just living example of you said, if you didn't write,
I'd be dead,
you'd be dead.
or I'd be in jail.
Yeah, or in jail. That's even better. But what a gorgeous example of you being 86 and Nan Tepper just saying, here's how you get on Substack, and you just going, fantastic. Yeah,
No, couldn't have done it without me.
Other questions? Oh, yes, Nat, my dear friend. Please speak loudly.
I can,
Good,
and I will.
good.
A famous pianist was asked what the biggest challenge was for playing the piano. And his answer was getting your butt on the piano bench. So I'd like to know what your biggest challenges are in terms of getting started or writing, or any tips you might have about how to get your butt on the bench.
Thank you, Ned. Could everyone hear that? Yeah, so just quickly, a famous pianist said, the hardest part is getting your butt on the bench. How do Abby and Bev get their butt on the bench?
Well,
Good
I
question.
think if you write, if you make it a habit, you exercise the muscle. It's kind of like, if you say, I'm going to start my book tomorrow, first of all, never say I'm going to start my book tomorrow. Just say, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write for 5 minutes. It's kind of like if you decide, now I'm going to jog for my own health, and you run 3 miles, you're going to die. And you're not going to do it the next day. So you just do it in increments. You just start slow and you build the muscle, and then pretty soon it becomes a habit. It's like, I'm addicted to writing. It's not hard for me after 40 years or whatever to sit my butt in the chair. But you have to develop the habit. It's a practice, and you just have to keep doing it.
Thank you, thank you.
And if you think you don't have anything to say or aren't going to be a good writer, I didn't start writing till I was 48. I wanted to very badly. And then I went to a workshop led by Bill Rohrbach. And he began every workshop with Zen mind, beginner's mind. In the beginner's mind are many possibilities. In the expert's mind are a few. Write with your beginner's mind. And I thought, I qualify. I can do this, I'm a beginner. And it's much easier when you don't know anything, when you don't know where you're going, and you don't have all that education in the back of your mind and Northrop Frye looking over your shoulder and all that stuff. Because there aren't any rules that can't be broken, and you just need to do it your own way.
Someone recently said to me, it doesn't have to be good, it has to be true.
Yeah.
And if you get something on the page, you can make something of it. Just get it on the page.
Thank you. I just want to add again, because we have so much time, I've become the third panelist. During COVID, some of you have heard me tell this story before, and Ned, you know about this. I had long COVID, and I want to say to you that writing saved my life. I know both of you understand that, and many of you, here's Janus, and many of you understand that maybe as a poet or a musician, but putting my butt in the chair, or whatever Ned's question was, it took me out of the illness and into a larger world. And I think whether we're suffering or not suffering at all, if we can get our butt in the chair, we enter a larger sphere, the sphere of the imagination, the sphere that exists beyond ego. It does take discipline to put your butt in the chair, but I feel the reward is the realm we can enter there. So, Janus, you're so welcome. Hello. Oh, we're so glad to see you.
Walking up the freedom trail. Thank you, everybody.
Oh my God, you're sweating. This is bad.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome. Janus, welcome. We are so glad to see you. I know this was a bit of an adventure getting here, but I think it makes us all the more happy to see you.
Well, thank you so much. Is my mic?
Yes, it should
Mic?
be.
Okay.
Yeah.
I say thank you so much, but you know, we're called wisdom keepers,
Yeah.
and we learn a lot about keeping going no matter what. So, where are we in the conversation?
Actually, just pick up right there. We kind of have, we have been talking about being wisdom keepers, and Abby just read, and we were having some wonderful questions, but how has aging affected your writing?
Oh my goodness.
Would you like some water? Janice, there's some water.
Thank you.
I see you've been running.
How has aging affected me? Well,
Well,
how much is saying too much? We all know, well, Gail knows this morning I called and I said, look, I woke up and not feeling well. I've had back surgery, hence the walker, and a lot of pain. And I said, but you know, we're gonna do this today. I won't see you for lunch, but we'll do this today. And then when I got ready to come, and I came and I'm coming up the back way and I'm enjoying the road, I realized that I have to stop because of the pain in my back. But I do that and then I keep coming. And it happens again. And I do it and I keep coming, and Gail calls and I said, I'm just about finally to turn on 28A. Not to go through all the details, I get into town and I realize I have to stop again. And I, at first, then say, well, let me just stop here and I'll walk the rest of the way so I'm not sitting any longer.
Yeah.
But my brain turns to the idea that I'm going to Kleinert instead of here. But that's okay. But, you know, and so I'm doing that, and but then I say, no, it's not Kleinert, it's all the way back. So I turn around on the broken pavement, and I'm saying this because it is a metaphor, believe me.
Yeah.
And I get to the broken pavement, and then it is so broken that with the rain, there's a huge puddle. So I can't go through the puddle with the walker and me and the broken pavement. So I come out and I'm forced to walk in the middle of the street. And I'm saying, wait a minute, this does not make sense. You're in the middle of the street. But then I remember, but I have to get there. So I see the golden notebook and I say, let me go in there and let somebody know that I really am here and I really am coming. And they call Jackie, and thank goodness they call you. But with all of that, what I think about is what we have been going through. And the fact that some of us are here today as a commitment to literature, some of us are here today as a commitment to Martha Frankel, who's been keeping this going for years. Some of us are here today as a commitment to just saying we're going to do it no matter what, and we don't care what anybody else tells us about book bans, about Black history, about women's not having our rights. We are going to be here. And we go through all of that. And that's what brings us here today together.
Oh. We are so glad to see you, and thank you for coming. you know.
Thank you for coming.
So, we're gonna have both of you read, not yet, both Bev and Janus, because Abby's already read. But let's have one more question. And then, actually, I will ask you to read, Janus. Yes, please.
This is an odd question. I read somewhere recently, there was a death of someone close to me recently. And I read something, and this is just a statement I'd like all of you to comment on. And the statement is quite simple. It's, life is a dangerous situation. And I'd like to know if there's a component of hope. There's certainly a component of the frailty of life. And I'd like your thoughts on that statement.
So just to say it so everyone can hear, and I hope I get it right, it's a wonderful question, and we'll let Janus address first. So just so everyone hears, you recently read a statement that said, life is a dangerous situation.
Yes.
And you'd love to hear their thoughts or reflections about that. And in your own view, you said something beautiful.
It has components of
Yeah,
hope,
fragility.
fear,
Yes.
fragility. So
Yeah.
I'd really like to. I mean, it keeps going through my mind, this phrase. So I'd really like to open it up.
I think it's a wonderful question for today. Thank you. So, Janus, would you please? And make sure we want them to hear you.
Yeah, on fragility and all of that, I mean, oh my goodness, we're born with fragility. And we're born so brave, and we come into this life, and then somebody tells us, well, don't be too brave. And we still have it all, we have the whole package. I just think, yes, life is a contact sport, as they say. Life is a danger, but life is life, and it's all there is.
Life is hard. And one of the reasons I like being old, I mean, this is going to shock some of you maybe, but it's almost over. I can't think of anything else to say.
I love that we are frail and fragile. I love that one of the dangers is that we would slide into cruelty and meanness and nastiness when that's really the thing you don't want to do. And I mean, I didn't realize I was frail until I broke both my wrists a couple of years ago. But you realize you're breakable when you break, and you give yourself a little more respect and care a little more, watch your step a little more. I never watched my step. I love that it's both. I love that it's fragile and it's powerful. And that the dangers are sometimes come from within. And that's what you need to watch out for, I think.
Thank you. Yeah. Couple more questions, and then I'm going to have Janus read. Oh, I see you with your red bandana.
Hi, yes, can't stop it. So earlier, you all said how much you enjoy being old, which I love. But I'm looking especially at you, Bev and Abby, and thinking about how accomplished you are and how much you have done in your lives and how much you've put out into the world. I wonder how much of your satisfaction with being older is because you've achieved so much. And if not, where else does that satisfaction come from?
Beautiful question. So as I was asked by Martha, I'll just summarize it and make sure everyone can hear. So there's been, I hope I get this right. What's your name?
My name's Ray.
Right, okay. we've talked a lot about how we all are happy to be older. So how much does that have to do with the fact that all three of you are very accomplished? And does that have a lot to do with that you are enjoying being older? And or where else does meaning come from? Did I get it? Okay.
Got it.
Okay. Please.
I think that's a really good question, and
Yes.
I'm not sure I can answer it because I am who I am and I've done what I've done and here I am. So it would be hypothetical. However, at this stage of my life, I'm not very ambitious, and I think that would be true no matter what I've done. It just doesn't matter. My ambition is all about being more kind, learning to love, and loving more, and that's like not easy, and that's all I want to do for the rest of my life is be a kind, good person. So yeah, I don't care about accomplishments at this point, although, you know, I am writing a book and I would love for other people to read it.
Well said. Yeah. Janus, please.
I'm not sure how to answer that either. I will tell you, I have been in this kind of active life, forced to be in this active life since I was 9 years old. So I really don't know. One of the things that I do not want to forget to mention is two things. Yesterday, commemorating the assassination of Dr. King, April 4th, 1968. And because of what I had, quote, accomplished in being a new graduate from college the very next day after the assassination, I was going into my first full-time job after college at Saks Fifth Avenue, and I was their first Black executive trainee. And as I walked up to the employee entrance, I was dressed all in white, fashionably, because it's Saks, but really in memoriam for Dr. King. And the police assaulted me, dragged me into the gutter, and started yelling to me, where did I steal my coat? So, accomplishment and not accomplishment, and it went on from there. They were arresting me. In fact, seeing all of these, this desensitization of all of us with these daily atrocities of people just in hoods and unmarked cars driving up and, with masks and jumping somebody and putting them into the car. That really was what the police were doing to me that day outside. I have studied the history of enslavement. That's what enslavement was. It was these constant, we sympathize with the one man whose story we read, 12 Years a Slave, because, quote, he wasn't supposed to be a slave, but nobody was supposed to be a slave. They were all kidnapped and dragged into a horror. And so I think about that, and then back to this accomplishment and the toggle between it, I want to also note the fact that today is April 5th, 1976, was the day my cousin, I'm sure there is somebody in this auditorium outside of me who has seen a Pulitzer Prize winning photo called The Soiling of Old Glory. And it is a Black man being pinned back and being speared on Boston City Hall steps with the eagle of the American flag. If you've seen it, yes. That was my cousin. And he and I were two of the 4 children who desegregated New York City's schools, which led the way for school desegregation throughout the North. Wow. It is ironic that the people who jumped him that day as a newly minted accomplishment Yale graduate, dual degrees in law and architecture. He was assaulted that day for having a meeting with the mayor to try to get contracts with Black people in the contracting industry. So I see the toggle. I see the dangers that we're supposed to feel if we are accomplished. I see the complications of all of it. None of it is very easy, but I don't want to ignore those two dates.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Abby, your thoughts, and then I'm going to have Janus read.
Oh, well, the only thought I have is that we have always been this nation. This isn't new. It's just been made okay by the assholes who are running it. And you know so much more than I do. You know more. You know so much more than I do. I'm glad I wrote those books. I would like to be useful. I think writing is useful, and I like teaching.
Thank you.
I like talking about books. I mean, about writing. Bossing them around.
Thank you for your questions. Wonderful. Janus, would you read to us? And just a reminder, there'll be time for Bev to read also, and then all these wonderful books that these incredible writers are reading from. You can go back and buy, and they'll sign for you. Okay.
Thank you.
Show them the cover. This is the most gorgeous cover.
It's a cover by Jonathan Green. He's the artist who's done a series of these, and he's just extraordinary. But given the things that I've had to talk about so far, I am really glad that this is what I've decided to read. And it is from the introduction. In the beginning, the story is told, this is how things came to be. The who was who and what was what between man and woman. What the gods had given man, the gods had given woman. What he could do, she could do. What he had in knowledge and strength, she had too. Everything was even, for that was God's plan. Then one day the two got into a terrible row. Maybe it was that snake in the grass thing again, when the gods called man to account and he blamed woman for tempting him with her apple pie. Maybe it was something like that, but whatever it was, it went on so long that man finally walked out, slammed the garden gate, and headed up to heaven to have a talk with God. There's got to be a way to put an end to all this commotion, man said to himself. And all the while he's walking, he's talking to himself, he's remembering the good times when he, man, was in charge of everything. And woman was just a rib? Well, by the time he got to heaven, he knew what he wanted. Man walked right up to God's council and stated his case. He said, God, I've got a woman down there. He said, God, grant me strength to deal with that woman. And God did. God gave man more strength. He knew what was going on. He had given equally to both, but there was something about that woman creature that made all that creating and sun rising and moon making a whole lot of fun. But business was business. With his extra strength, man could also better tend the fields and the flock. And so it was done. And man was ecstatic. He raced home to tell woman that he was boss now, and with his strength, he was king. Roar. Well, as you can imagine, woman was having none of that. She said, night and day, day and night, I work to my fingers to the bone, ruining my manicure. I'll give that man a cure. And he's the one gets the strength? No, 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 no. Time for a talk with God. Her God wouldn't do a thing like that. And wasn't her God a woman? Out the garden gate she sped, and up to heaven she went. Just like that. Before she knew it, she was there. For once woman made up her mind to do a thing, the thing gets done. She had heard that just before she got to heaven, she could freshen up a bit at the pearly gates. So she would stop off to do that, shake the dust off her feet, out of respect. Well, there at the gates, she spied a set of golden keys, exquisite in construct, stunning in simplicity, ageless in design. But this was no time to admire the decor. At heaven's gate, she turned right and found the gods waiting for her. From what man had said, they knew she would come around in her own time, and she did. She said, now God, dear God, with all you've given me, I hate to trouble you, but she said, God, whatever that was you gave my man, you need to give him a little less. But God said, no, a gift is a gift. You don't take it back. They could have, you don't take it back. They could give her more strength too, but keeping man and woman even in all things just hadn't worked out according to plan. So she thought, and they thought. They thought, and she thought. Then she remembered the keys at the gate. So you saw the keys to the kingdom, they smiled all-knowing. She could have them if she liked. They knew greater wisdom was a gift we would use well. Thankfully, she said her praises and rushed home to man. He had his strengths for sure, but she had greater wisdom. And that's why things are the way they are to this day. Man holds up his end for sure, but woman holds the power. So it was told by our mothers' mothers, and so it is to this day true. Woman holds the keys to the kingdom. In her wisdom, the great mother has passed on her stories, and from them our herstory has come.
Thank you. Let's talk about this idea that storytellers, writers, since the very beginning, have been posing the questions we need to be thinking about at whatever given time we find ourselves. And this, as we all know, these are very interesting days. So what do you think, each of you, are the questions that we as artists need to be posing in our, if we're writers, it could be any kind of artist. And what are the questions the three of you are thinking a lot about in these days? Beth, why don't you begin?
Well, my question is how much I have to be aware and I have to pay attention, but how much is too much? How much of this brutality that is going on is desensitizing me? And I try to look at, try to think of it as a huge picture. I don't have a clue really underneath everything what is going on, all right, let me start over. I took this Kabbalah course and the teacher said, when bad things happen, when it's a catastrophe, when it's sad, think, pause, what a pleasure. Why is this in my movie? So I'm just trying to give it a greater perspective, and again, I may be Pollyanna, but I just have to believe that something good will come of this. As when I look back on my life, and that's pretty much all I do, because I'm more of a narcissist than I am a historian. Every bad thing had a good side to it, and life is a school. And what do we have to learn from this? And what I'm trying to learn from this is to be kinder, to love more, and love I walked around in my head being the critic of the world, the queen of the world. I know best. Just my whole life, I just have been very critical. And it's my journey to not be that way and to just love and accept. And I'm trying hard, and it's starting to work. And it could be because I do a lot of ayahuasca.
Thank you, Bev. Such a wonderful Woodstock answer. Thank you. That was very beautiful. Thank you, Bev. What about you, Abby?
Well, I don't know about me, because I don't. Right this minute, the devil holds all the cards. All I want to do is hire somebody who can actually shoot. All I want to be is useful. That's all. I like what I do. I like what I don't know if I raise any questions, but I don't know.
What questions do you ask yourself?
Well, the question that I answered a bunch of years ago is that this is the nation we have always been. And that was upsetting. Until now, if you make a racial slur, it's an act of patriotism. And it's just hard for me to put that all together with the way I grew up, which is very white and very private school, sort of public school. I don't know. I don't know what questions I have. There's no answer to why.
Right.
There's no answer to. I don't have questions. I just have the feeling that we've finished off the planet, and which is what we're doing, and that it's going to shrug us off. And I've got 12 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren. I don't know how they're going to do. All I say to them is make sure you live somewhere it rains. Because
Someplace it rains.
make sure you live someplace it rains.
Yeah.
Because you're going to need water. But we don't talk about it. And one of my daughters does not follow the news at all. And the other does and is extremely depressed. Was born in Scotland and is hoping to drag her kids over there, but that's not going to happen. I don't have any questions. And I don't have any answers.
And you wish to be useful.
I want to be useful.
That's a very, a theme you've given us today.
Well, it helps. It feels
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's nice to know something about something that has some value. So I'm having a conversation with somebody and they say something, I have to say, that's your first line. Write that down. That's your first line right now.
Thank you,
That's
Abby.
not useful, but it's.
What about you, Janus? So the questions, you're both a historian and an incredible writer. The questions we need to be asking kind of as a whole, and the questions you're asking yourself.
It's an interesting question because I'll tell you a very specific question I asked myself. I was having a really difficult time doing what I have done for years, which is to write a monthly or weekly newsletter to my list. And with the aftermath of the election and recognizing what was about to happen, and my historian head knows a lot more than I wish it did about what could happen, because this is not new in US history. I could not, for almost 2 months, write a newsletter that would have been my annual Happy New Year newsletter. I just physically could not write it. And so my question was, what could possibly inspire me enough to write something that would inspire others? And that question is now, when I finally did write it, and I wrote it and was open about that question, that is what I was struggling to, it has led to what seems as though it's going to be my next book.
Wow.
I was asked to write a book about that.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
What was it?
Yes, what was it?
Tell us what it is.
the book or the question, the question is literally that question. What is it? What is it? But also it's why, and why was I having so much of a problem doing it? Why did I feel an obligation to do it? What could I possibly draw on to be able to do it? Was it arrogant to be able to do it or not do it? What do you say? What do you not say? It was all of that. And I have had why questions, really, I told you from 8, 9 years old, being part of this school desegregation process. I mean, it was, we have this mythology about, in spite of the impression that we were being done a favor to be taken out of our lowly little environment and being given to this great society, and nothing could be further from the truth. The school that I was in has recently been owned up to. It was an all-black school in Harlem. It's still there on 130th Street. It had the first Black woman principal in New York City history. And it was the top school in the state. Wow. That's why that school was chosen as a Black school to go to a not as good school just on the basis of race. And please do not extract from that I am extolling the virtues of segregation. I am not. There's nothing natural about that. So I realized for the book that I've been saying a lot of goodbyes lately also. I mean, we have goodbyes now just because of our age and our age groups, but so it's a goodbye to people that we've known and loved. It's a goodbye to the life we thought we built. It's a goodbye to things we've worked our whole lives to accomplish. I mean, I'm looking at a majority female audience here, and I'm looking at a span of ages. We know what we have gone through and done to bring this country to a much better place than it was in the 50s or in the 60s. Even if we weren't active then, we know what our mothers told us was going on at that time. And there's a why about that too. Why the devil are we supposed to, pack up and go back to that? So there are a lot of whys and a lot of goodbyes, and also a lot of opportunities to remake ourselves when perhaps at this age we didn't think we could, should, but now we know we will.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, beautiful. And this is very powerful and intriguing that that process led you to a book that you didn't plan to write. So say a little more about that, how the book, you were going along trying to write this newsletter, took you into a very profound inquiry, and then a book springs up. Speak about this.
It came to life in a phone. I was also asked at that same time to write a piece, Maria Shriver's Sunday Paper,
Yes.
which is a wonderful publication. If you don't get it, Maria Shriver's Sunday Paper. And they, for President's Day, asked a few people who contributed to them over the years if we would write something for President's Day. That's what kind of broke the dam.
Wow.
So I decided to write something about that, very simple, but I remembered a wonderful quote from All I Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten. Remember that wonderful book? And there is a wonderful quote, I wish I had it with me, but about, how wonderful the world would be. I'm not gonna botch it, but I'll give a few of the examples. How wonderful the world would be if people would learn to put things back where they found them. And so I just did my framing for what I thought I would do as president, and it was very brief. It was that my values would be, to live up to my parents' expectations of me. It would be to just do what I considered the right thing, and also to codify, to make sure that not now, not then, not ever would anybody be declared 3/5 a man in a constitution. And I would codify into law, because we needed new laws at this time. I would codify into law Fulgham's All I Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten, because it's that basic. And the editorial director from Shriver's paper called me about, and we were talking about that. We communicated over the years, but never spoken one-on-one by phone in all these years. And as we talked, it kind of willed itself to being from that conversation, and I did something I never would have normally done. And I said, well, what do you think of this idea about, this being totally lost and unable to do this? And we talked it through, and she loved it, and that became the editorial meeting for the book.
Wonderful. Does it have a title? Does it have a working title? The new book?
The title is On Saying Goodbye and Hello.
Nice. Thank you. Okay, so I know Martha is soon going to say, don't forget, Gail, you need to end soon. But Beverly, we want to hear from you. Thank you so much, all three of you.
When I was 56 years old, I was asleep in my bed. I lived in Mexico, and a rapist came into my bed and woke me up. I went, well, first of all, he woke me up, and 13 days later, he was a serial rapist. I was his 5th victim, and 13 days later, he was caught and put in jail. And I went off to a monastery to heal, to understand, try to understand why there is evil in this world, what evil is, why it came to me, how I could live still believing that God is love, and there's this creative power in the universe, and it's good. So I'm off at the monastery, and it comes time for the trial. And I went back to Mexico in Mexico you get to face your accuser. So this is the scene of, he's standing next to the judge behind bars, and I'm sitting at the table with the prosecutor, and he won't look at me, and I'm staring daggers at him. I do not drop my stare for more than a few seconds. If he finally decided to look at me, we could end up in a staring match. Maybe I'm doing what they tell you not to do when confronted by an aggressive dog. My deposition is read first, and when I'm asked if I have anything to add, I say, no, it's all there. While the rapist's disposition is read, the rapist crosses his arms against his chest and lifts his chin. In his deposition, he confessed he'd have a few beers, then break into gringo women's houses to steal a few trinkets and cause a little mischief. At the conclusion of his deposition, when he too is given the opportunity to speak, he runs with it, talking for what feels like 3 hours, but is probably 1. He's a politician on the stump, a working class hero on a soapbox. He's the downtrodden voice of the people. He couldn't get work in Mexico, so he was forced to live in the United States for 25 years. He was put in jail and treated like a dirty dog. Gringos outside of jail treated him like a dirty Mexican dog too. Women used him for sex. Now he's too old for anyone to hire. What's he supposed to do? How's he supposed to eat? These gringo women are ruining the good name of my grandparents. The rapist believes he's the victim. When he finally finishes his rant, I ask the judge if I can say something. On the record, she asks, no, I don't care. I just want to say something to him. She nods permission and I say, I came from a poor family too. I wanted to go to college. I wanted to be a writer. I wanted an education, but there was no money. Like you, I used to be angry about what I didn't have and what I couldn't do and how unfair life is. But only when I started taking responsibility for myself did life get good and I was finally happy. You need to take responsibility. You need to apologize for what you did. I'm not apologizing to you, he snarls. You don't have to apologize to me. You have to apologize to God. His apology would have been very nice indeed. But more than anything, I want good to come from the rape. And I suspect that telling him to apologize to God is a suggestion he might actually one day be able to hear. And evil is never recognized as evil by those who do it. If he's to have a chance, he must acknowledge he did wrong. The rapist says something in reply, and the judge orders it not be translated. I want to hear what he says, I insist. The judge nods to my translator, who says, he said, God bless you. The judge may have thought he was being sarcastic or that he had no right to be giving me a blessing from God, but I choose to accept the blessing. Thank you, I say to the rapist, who still will not look at me. The trial is over and the translator shakes her head as she pats my hand. You're too good, she says, and I do not have the feeling she means it as a compliment. Afterward, I pray for the rapist a few times, but it doesn't feel sincere. I plan to work on it. And this is a quote from the Dhammapada, or Path of Virtue. He abused me, he beat me, he defeated me, he robbed me. In those who harbor such thoughts, hatred will never cease. He abused me, he beat me, he defeated me, he robbed me. In those who do not harbor such thoughts, hatred will cease. For hatred does not cease by hatred at any time. Hatred ceases by love. This is an old rule.
Please, Janus, Bev, Abby. And Martha. So please buy some of these amazing books, and you buy them back there at the table, and then you come up, yes? We're going to come down there. So, yeah, but.
I'll help you where you sit down. Put chairs.
Great, thank you. And they will sign books for you. Thank you, everyone.
Oh my God, yes, of course. She's good, she's coming tonight. Oh my God, here tomorrow, wedding. Yes, you got to stay.